Hello Crucible Contraptions, and welcome to the next KeyForge video. This video is going to be our 6th deck of this display, so we're about halfway through. There's a lot of news that I want to talk about. First things first, my last video I had an issue with uploading. I'm trying to get that fixed. It's like a weird memory cache issue. I've almost got it. It might be re-uploaded. I would love if you guys would rewatch it if you've already seen it, but if not, no worries. So if you see like a random re-upload of something, then that's why. It was just a little out of sorts. Some other things, the Grim Reminders crowdfunding campaign is going off with a bang. It's doing really well. They're almost at 300,000, which is the next thing. I've backed it, so obviously I'll have some content revolving around it. If you haven't checked it out, be sure to. Super cool stuff coming out of there. We get to see the next house, the next set, and then I'm just super pumped for that whole set in general. I think Dice Toys is going to be probably my new favorite house, so it's going to be super cool to see. You guys will see some new playmats. I'll go through the collector set again. You'll get all the usual good content that'll come from those game founds. So keep your eyes peeled. Whenever that happens, you'll get more updates and videos like this. But let's check out our halfway deck. I've got it upside down apparently. Let me get this out of the way. So it's a yellow Archon, looks really cool. What? How do you say that? Mechethius, spawn of Coachym. We've got Cleric, super cool. Don't know that we've seen that token yet. So of course we have Sanctum. Then we have Brobnar and Unfathomable. Okay, really good houses this set. Let's hope for some of those Unfathomable actions and some great Cleric synergy. I would love to see a Whirlpool in here. Cleric is known for doing well with those. Looks super cool. Okay, I will be right back with the card reveals. Alrighty, we're here now with the card reveal. Have a closer look at that Archon. Very cool. It's got kind of wings for arms, kind of biblically accurate angel vibes with all the different dots and the general kind of abstract shape to it. We'll set our deck list off to the side here, and then take a look at our token creature. This is Cleric, the 1-power creature with after Cleric enters play, capture 1 aember. Super great for on-demand aember control, and there's a lot of different combos that you can do. Just a great creature all around to like trade across the board. So if you can find some sort of consistent way to throw your clerics to the enemy, fantastic. We're starting with Unfathomable. We've got the upgrade here, Toxicutive Venom. It's got Amber Pip on it, and it says this creature gains poison. Very nice. Got Sunk Costs action. Play, choose a house. Your opponent discards a random card from their hand. If that card belongs to the chosen house, make a token creature. Some disruption that leads to token making, 2 of those. Be interesting in a deck where Cleric is Amber control. I feel like in a lot of situations it'll actually really matter if I can get that right. Then we've got the Guiltspine Netcaster, 2-power creature that says after reap, exhaust a creature, enhances 2 capture into the deck. Okay, lots of capture happening. Then we've got Fathom Reaver, 4-power creature with play, make a token creature. While you control a token creature, your opponent refills their hand 1 less card during their draw step. Super good. Then we've got the action Crushing Deep. It's enhanced with an Amber and says play during your opponent's next turn. Keys cost +3 for each forged key they have. Great for late game Amber control. Ooh, Befuddle, very good card here. It's an action. It's got an Amber Pip and it was enhanced with a damage. Play, choose a house on your opponent's identity card. During their next turn, they cannot play cards of other houses. Sunk cost can help us kind of suss out what house to choose there. Then we've got Bubbles, 5-power creature that says play, put an enemy creature on top of its owner's deck. Ooh, and then Watcher's Step, which we could combine with Befuddle. It's got an Amber Pip on it, and it says play, choose a house on your opponent's identity card. If they do not choose that house as their active house during their next turn, make 2 token creatures and ready them. That would be after the Forge a Key step though, so we can't like sneakily stop them by capturing 2 on their turn, but we can still hold them off. And we've got Stir Crazy. It's got an amber pip on it. It's an action that says play. Each ready creature captures 1 amber from its opponent. Holy, very capture heavy. Oh, and then we've got Catch and Release, one of the best creature control cards this set. It's an action, it says play, return each creature to its owner's hand. Each player discards random cards from their hand until they have 6 or fewer cards in hand, and you gain 2 chains. And then Plunder, another great way to see our opponent's hand. It's an action enhanced with or not enhanced, but it has an amber pip. And it says play, reveal a random unrevealed card from your opponent's hand. Then you may either repeat this effect or your opponent discards the last revealed card. Very cool. Alrighty, now we're getting into Sanctum, hoping to see some more capturing, maybe some trading here. We've got the first card is the Grey Rider, creature, 2 power with deploy, and play after fight after reap. You may ready and fight with a neighboring creature. Then there's it's Reverend Monk, I believe. I kept calling it Revered Monk, but I believe that's spelled differently. So the 4 power Reverend Monk, it's a creature, and Reverend Monk gets +2 armor for each of its Sanctum neighbors. 2 of those. A pretty mediocre card, one of those you probably want to see as a token. Retribution. It's an action with an amber pip, and it says play. If there are more enemy creatures than friendly creatures, destroy an enemy creature. 2 of those, very nice. Outflank, good, so some more capture. It's an action with an amber bonus, and it says play. Each Sanctum flank creature captures 2 amber from their opponent. Ostentatious Mount, this is nice, an upgrade with an amber pip. It says play, move this creature anywhere in its controller's battle line, and then this creature gains taunt. Good way to protect our clerics. Ooh, and then Nightapult with a capture bonus. It says action, the next time a friendly creature enters play this turn, you may have it enter anywhere in your battle line and ready. Then we've got Grand Melee. It's more creature control. That's good. It's an action. It says play, destroy each creature that does not share a house with at least one of its neighbors. With the Nightapult and the Ostentatious Mount, we can kind of work our board around in Sanctum, make sure that we are hurt by that less. Then we've got the Celestial Gorm, some great artifact control. It is an artifact with an amber pip, and it says Omni, destroy Celestial Gorm, then return each other artifact to its owner's hand. We could replay that capture pip on our Nightapult. Then we've got the creature, the Battlefield Evangelist, 3 power, 2 armor, and it says after a fight, make a token creature. Hasn't been a whole lot of token making. Battlefield Evangelist is like one of the main ones. I'm trying to think what else in Sanctum, but not a whole lot. Then we've got the Promise Blade, an artifact with an amber and a capture. At the start of each player's turn, the player with the fewest creatures in play takes control of the Promise Blade, and its Omni, a friendly creature, captures one. Alrighty, and then we are into Brobnar. We've got the action Ragnarok Prep. It says play, make a token creature, then if you control more creatures than your opponent loses 2. This is interesting because it's really good if our opponent has like 3 or more amber, but it can be tricky if our opponent only has 1 or less, because then we make a cleric, the cleric captures it, and then they would lose 2. So if they have less than 3, then we're inherently unable to make them lose all of it. 2 of those though, that's good. Then we've got Pelf, 3 power creature with a damage pip enhanced. It's got Skirmish, and after fight your opponent loses 1 amber. Good. Fresh Marks, it's got an amber pip, and it's an action that says play, destroy a friendly creature. If you do, exalt 3 enemies. This is actually a great way to return amber if we want to make sure that Ragnarok Prep is happening. If we've already got clerics in play, we can kill one of them off, exalt some enemies, and then give that amber back to the opponent to make sure Ragnarok Prep happens. We've got 2 of those. Krog the Clumsy, that's nice. 7 power creature with splash attack 2. Very good for clearing boards. 2 of those. Ooh, Bumpsy, some more amber control in the form of a creature. 5 power and play, your opponent loses 1 amber. Ooh, and then Break Nasty. Hopefully one of these last cards is a ready and fight effect so that we can immediately take advantage of his fighting stuff. But we do have a decent number of Brobnar creatures. Pelf and Break Nasty is always fun. He's a 5 power creature that says after another friendly Brobnar creature fights, gain 1 amber. Vow of Blood, interesting. It's got an amber on it. It's an action, and it says play, deal 2 damage to each damaged enemy creature. They might be fighting into our clerics a lot, so they might be putting damage on their own creatures just to get their amber back. This would be a great way to like wipe their board. And then Crim Torchtooth, the big splash attack creature. 7 power, splash attack 4, and after fight it enrages each of its neighbors, which is fine with a Brick Nasty. And then Brawl In, play, make 2 token creatures and enrage them. Would be 2 clerics that would capture 2. I think by virtue of having cleric, we've got a lot of amber control in here, but then also there's just a lot of amber control and creature control in general. I don't know that the creature control is particularly powerful. Oh no, it is, because we have Grand Melee and we've got Catch and Release. There's a good number. Vow of Blood will probably be pretty good. So I think what we're probably missing the most is maybe Amber Generation or a way to take advantage of the Amber that we're capturing. Our Amber control might not be super high just because there are a few cards that make them lose it, and then like the rest of them are capture that will eventually go back to them, because I don't think we had a single card that let us kind of move our creatures around. Which makes sense. That's more of a very specific Unfathomable card thing, or a Equidon thing. There's a couple of cards in Equidon that let you move stuff around. A Tourist Trap would be great in this deck. Okay, well, give me one moment. I will separate all of our piles out here and we will do a deck breakdown. Be right back. Here we are with the deck breakdown. It's again our usual piles of Amber Control, Expected Amber, Artifact Control, which actually has a card this time, Creature Control, and then just Miscellaneous Token Generation. Our token is in the top left corner. And there is our SAS. Looking at 69 SAS. The -1 in meta is from board clears. We only have 1, which is Catch and Release. Grand Melee, I feel like maybe should be considered a board clear. I understand that the way it works, it's often not going to clear the board just because of, you know, the way that KeyForge works. Often creatures of the same house are going to be played next to each other. But still, I mean, it can be board wide. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. And then we've got a -3 in anti-synergy. That is from our low creature count. We have a pretty low creature count, and it seems like effectively every card that relies on a creature count is upset somehow. Which is weird, because things like Outflank, Ostentatious Mount, and Grand Melee are upset because we have a low creature count. But then Promised Blade and Retribution also have negatives because of creature count, which typically having a low creature count is good for those cards. I'm wondering if maybe just by virtue of being a token deck, it's counting our token score in that, just from like Winds of Exchange. But interesting nonetheless. So we ended up at 69. And there is our extras and counts. We've got a 15 in our bonus amber, which is a little bit below what I like, but it's where a lot of our expected amber comes from. Then we've got 18 actions, which is a lot. It's about 5 more than is typical in a deck. 13 creatures, which is about 5 less. Then 3 artifacts, 2 upgrades. Our token score comes out to a 9.5, which would mean we can make about 9 to 10 tokens every pass through our deck. And then we've got Catch and Release and board wipes, no scaling amber, no key cheats, no archiving. Pretty simple. Let's clear those away. And there is our amber and control. 11 amber control, 19 expected amber, 0.5 artifact control, and 11 creature control. Decent, middling numbers. The deck does a little bit of everything okay. We'd like to see, I think each of these higher. The expected amber is okay. Obviously, you would want more, but if we could bump up each of the other numbers by some, it would be looking extra good. And let's dig in. So in our amber control here, we're starting with Outflank, which is each Sanctum creature captures, or each Sanctum flank creature captures 2 from its opponent. Pretty great card, especially since we have the Cleric token. The only problem is that we can only make Sanctum tokens using oh no, I can't remember her name. Battlefield Evangelist. She's the only Sanctum token generator, I believe. So I don't know why we ended up getting Cleric. I think there was more generation in Unfathomable, even though it was iffy, or Brobnar, which just straight up gives us 2. But that's fine. The only trick without flank is that it says each Sanctum creature, or each Sanctum flank creature. So that would include your opponents if they have Sanctum, so you have to be careful. And then we've got Pelf here with the Outer Fight lose 1. No ready and fight effects, so there isn't a way to get him going early. But if you can keep him alive, he becomes pretty strong. The Guiltspine Netcaster, this is because of the enhanced 2 capture. Promise Blade, we actually have a low creature count, so this could be really good for us. We can just hang on to it and keep capturing. And hopefully maybe they'll play Whirlpool, or they'll play something where they have to swap one of our creatures. Otherwise, we'll just keep holding on to their Amber. Crushing Deep, it's a key cost increaser, which is great when we have a lot of capture. So hopefully we can blow up our capture with like a catch and release or something, and then play Crushing Deep and make them pay like 9 for their second key or something. We've got Stir Crazy, which is even more capture, but this again is each ready creature, so your opponent's ready creatures also capture. They've got Bumpsy, which is good, lose 1. Ragnarok Prep, which I've already talked about the trickiness of it, but if our opponent has 3 or more Amber, then this is good, and we got 2 of them. The lose 2 is nice, it's just, we don't have a whole lot of token making. I think the Brawl In will be really helpful for our Ragnarok Preps. Just getting us over that amount, because naturally we have very few creatures. Getting into expected Amber here. Like always, this isn't going to involve cards that get expected Amber just because of their 1 bonus Amber. So we've got Brick Nasty. Every time we fight with a Brobnar creature, gain 1. 2 fresh marks. So that would just enhance onto the others, but I mean, in combo, this is great, especially with how much splash attack creatures we have. It's a great way to exalt the enemy and then just blow them all up, as well as giving them Amber back to lose with the Ragnarok Prep, if we're blowing up our Clerics. Very, very interesting cards. Our artifact control is real simple here. It's just Celestial Gorm. Celestial Gorm is great. It is great hand clog, especially if the opponent has artifacts of a bunch of different houses. I will say that it can be tricky because sometimes some artifacts get enhanced like a lot, and that's like their big draw. And so we could, you know, Celestial Gorm to bump their other stuff, but then they end up getting an artifact that was enhanced like crazy, or things like MK2 Generator exist, or just general passive effect ones that can still hit the board whenever. So you gotta be careful about your timing with this and make sure you're aware of what your opponent's artifacts are, especially since in this deck, this is the only thing. So there's no destroying an artifact, there's only bouncing it. So we wanna make sure we get the most effect for it. Then we've got our creature control here, starting with the Toxicutive Venom for poison. I think Toxicutive Venom going on to Pelf is one of my favorite combos, so hopefully we can get that going off. Just the lose, you know, whatever, 3 power, breaks through most shield, giving it already has skirmish, so giving it poison would be awesome. Vow of Blood, which again, I think a lot of the use from Vow of Blood will come from people fighting into our clerics to get their Amber back. Grey Rider, very nice, ready and fight. Bubbles to add something to the top of the deck. Bubbles is so interesting. Bubbles was already a pretty good card in Dark Tidings. But then Bubbles is brought to like a whole nother level here, just with the stuff like Befuddle or Catch and Release or Abyssal Sight. You know, you can put something on top of the deck and you're like, okay, they're for sure drawing into this house at the end of next turn, so maybe I name that house this turn so that they play those cards and then they draw into that one card and it kind of chains them up a little. Double Krug the Clumsy for the splash attack. Grand Melee, which I talked about a little bit earlier. Both the Retributions, which again works out for us because we have a low creature count, but we have Clerics, which again I think is fine. The only way to make Cleric in Sanctum is Battlefield Evangelist, and we just can choose not to fight with her until the time comes, and hopefully get off those Retributions. Catch and Release is phenomenal. You can hopefully return a couple of useless creatures to your opponent's hand, get them to discard some key pieces. And then Crim Torchtooth with another huge splash attack. Very, very good. Lots of interesting fighting, just not a lot of ways to keep everybody alive or fight with them immediately. Then our token generation, we've got Unfathomable with double sunk costs, which is situational. We have to choose the correct house. And then Watch Your Step, which again, we would want to choose a house that they do not, or that they do want to play, I guess. If they do not choose that house as their active house during the next step. What's interesting here is we can play around with it a little bit since we're rocking with Cleric. So if we know that they want to pick a house next turn, but we need 2 Clerics for some reason, we can pick the house that they want. And then it's like, oh, if they really don't want us to get 2 Clerics, then they'll have to play something else. Or they might not see it as high value and then pick it and then we get 2 Clerics. Our Ball-in for just 2 Enraged Clerics and Battlefield Evangelist. So not a whole lot of token generation there, but definitely not 0, and Cleric just has such a heavy board presence in the capture that it does. It can be super, super good. Alrighty, we'll get the Aember Control out of here, and there is our speed and board. Nothing super crazy here. Our speed is negative because catch and release, and then we don't have any efficiency. Our board power isn't super high. Our broadened creatures bring it up a lot, but then fresh marks and grand melee bring it down. And then a lot of our other creatures are pretty low power. No recursion. Our creature protection is just Toxicute Venom and Ostentatious Mount. I think the Mount will be very, very good in here. There are certain cards where it's like we really want or need these to stick around. So giving something that we don't really care about, or one of our biggest creatures, maybe like a Revered Monk if it's surrounded by Clerics, or a Krog the Clumsy taunt can be really good. We've got a pretty large amount of disruption here, thanks to Befuddle, Catch and Release, Fathom Reaver, Double Sunk Costs, Plunder, Celestial Gorm, Bubbles, and Watch Your Step. So almost all of that is unfathomable except for Celestial Gorm. It just messes with our opponent's hand a lot, which is super fun. Probably one of my favorite parts of the game is like interacting with the opponent's hand. And then in other for board state affecting things, we've got Plunder, which, okay, I don't really know what that means. And then Brawl In is negative for board. I guess it's just because it's enraging creatures that don't want to be enraged typically, unless you've got a Brobnar token. But that is it. Thank you guys for watching all the way to the end. We're halfway through this display. Haven't found any crazy bangers yet, but I think these videos have spoken really well to the consistency of Winds of Exchange. Again, I'm working on fixing that last video. If you see it randomly re-upload or something, I would love for you to watch it again, but if you don't want to, pay it no mind. I'm just trying to get it fixed. It cut off the last like 2 minutes, which some people don't even make it to. But I forget what I was speaking about. I think I was just thanking everybody, and I really appreciate, your time and your presence, and your patience with me. I'm hoping to sort some things out in my life and outside of these videos, and hopefully be able to make some more variety stuff. It's been hard to get these videos done as is, but I think the consistency of them is important for me and hopefully for you guys. I love digging into KeyForge decks. So keep your eyes peeled. I didn't get any of the Grim Reminder spoilers. Ghost Galaxy didn't reach out to me. Maybe next Game Found, I would really, really like to. And I think my channel does some decent numbers, but we'll see. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And remember, the most important part of KeyForge is the person sitting across the table. Have a good one.